Oh, brace yourselves for the mind-blowing brilliance of this cinematic masterpiece set in the dazzling year of 2005, a time when human evolution took a wild detour from the logical path to become even more, intellectually challenged. Forget about the sci-fi dreams of a smarter future. We're talking about a world where brains are apparently going out of style. Our hero, the thrillingly average Joe Bowers, a U.S. Army librarian, gets the honor of being part of an experiment that could only be described as groundbreaking. If your definition of groundbreaking involves making people dumber. Joe, with his riveting career plans of shelving books until the sweet embrace of retirement, is forced into this life-altering opportunity. Now, let's gather around as high-ranking military officials, led by the mastermind General Collins, unveil their genius plan. Brace yourselves, folks, because they've invented a hibernation pod. Yes, you heard it right, a pod that can preserve humans for an indefinite amount of time, so they can keep their finest specimens in storage and revive them when the world needs an injection of brilliance. Because nothing says genius like putting average Joe into a sleep chamber. But wait, there's more. Our hero needs a partner in this thrilling adventure, and the military's impeccable selection process leads them to a woman named Rita, who does social work for men, of course, in exchange for money. Because who else would be the perfect companion for an experiment of such magnitude? General Collins even spices up the presentation with pictures of himself partying with Rita's manager. Upgrade. Classy. Fast forward to the next day, where Joe and Rita, the dynamic duo, find themselves in a waiting room hooked up to IVs. Rita, trying to keep up appearances, claims to be a painter instead of, her actual profession. They're then tucked away snugly into hibernation pods, but oh no, the plot thickens. General Collins, the mastermind behind this genius plan, gets himself arrested for attempted business dealing with hardworking women, dragging Upgrade along for the ride. Now, with the masterminds behind the experiment out of commission, no one is left to babysit the hibernation pods. Talk about a flawlessly executed plan. As Joe and Rita snooze away in their pods, the world outside is turning into a dumpster fire of intellectual decline. People are getting dumber faster than you can match with someone on Tinder, and the chart of average intelligence takes a nosedive. Forget about solving real problems. Humanity is too busy trying to reverse hair loss and prolong erections. Because, those are the crucial issues facing society. Cut to the year 2505, where basic problems like garbage disposal remain unsolved, and piles of trash have become historical landmarks. The future is bright, my friends. So bright that you might need shades to shield yourself from the blinding stupidity. Move over, Einstein. Our Joe is here to redefine the meaning of average, making mediocrity look like a fine art in a world that's desperately trying to stand out but failing spectacularly. One day, Joe's hibernation pod takes a detour and ends up in a random house. Enter Frito Pendejo, the epitome of hospitality. Joe, disoriented and probably questioning his life choices, encounters Frito, who's more interested in his trashy TV shows than a stranger invading his space. Classy. Frito, the gracious host, only bothers to tell Joe to keep it down, all while lounging on a couch that moonlights as a toilet. Efficiency at its finest. And just when Joe thinks he's found a kindred spirit, Frito gives him the boot out of the window. Welcome to the future, Joe, where politeness is extinct and everyone's a delightful ball of sunshine. As Joe navigates this bizarre world, he encounters a group of people by the road who communicate in a delightful blend of slang and grunts. They understand him until he speaks like a normal human being, and suddenly he's showered with slurs and chased away. Ah, the wonders of effective communication in the 26th century. Confused and dizzy, Joe decides to seek enlightenment at a nearby hospital. Little does he know, this hospital operates on a level of logic that would make a cat trying to solve a Rubik's Cube look like a genius. The receptionist, clearly a mastermind, presses a random button, leading Joe to the diagnostic area where he's supposed to plug various orifices. Because that's how healthcare works in this dystopian paradise. To quench his thirst, Joe heads to a water fountain, only to discover it spews Brawndo, an energy drink fit for kings. Water? Oh, that's so out of trend now. The locals find Joe's desire for water hilarious, as they've upgraded to using energy drinks for everything. Water is just used to flush the toilet. But the real kicker comes when Joe meets the doctor, a linguistic virtuoso who answers all health-related inquiries with a resounding kick-ass. Oh, and he slaps Joe with a $5 billion bill, just for kicks. As Joe scans the date on the bill, 2505, he finally grasps the harsh reality that he's been snoozing for half a millennium. The city outside the window is a masterpiece of architectural chaos, held together by ropes, and the good doctor loses his cool because Joe lacks a trendy citizen tattoo. Joe, now a fugitive for not paying his astronomical hospital bill, bolts from the scene while the doctor dials up the futuristic police. As our hero escapes into this wondrous world, a voice narrates that he's awakened to a planet in dire straits. The economy is on life support. A dust bowl devours all food supplies, and the nation's most watched movie's name is Ass. Because, clearly, priorities haven't changed in the last 5 centuries. Bravo, future. Bravo. Joe, our unwitting time traveler, gets a taste of the high-tech legal system when he's arrested at night. And who comes to his legal rescue? None other than the legal prodigy, Frito Pendejo. Because when you need a legal eagle, Frito is the obvious choice. Picture this: a courtroom filled with the finest legal minds of the future, including our very own Frito, who's probably still basking in the glory of his stellar TV watching skills. Joe attempts to present his case sensibly, explaining why he's unscannable. But oh, the courtroom erupts in laughter. The judge, the lawyers, even the janitor. Everyone finds Joe's logic amusing. At last, Judge Hilarity declares Joe guilty and generously awards him a jail sentence. Meanwhile, in the pod-induced slumber, Rita is having her own adventures. She's desperately trying to reach her manager-boyfriend combo, Upgrade. Unfortunately, the phone demands a hefty sum of $2,000 for a chat. Not to worry, Rita, the resourceful one, manages to pull off a classic scam on an unsuspecting dude and gets the cash she needs. As Joe finds himself on a one-way ticket to the big house, the authorities decide it's high time he gets a tattoo for identification. The automated tattoo machine, clearly a pinnacle of modern intellect, asks for Joe's name. Unable to comprehend the madness around him, Joe mumbles something about not being sure. And voila, he's branded as Not Sure, a fitting moniker for someone trapped in a world where sense is as rare as a unicorn sighting. But wait, there's more. Joe undergoes an amplitude and IQ test, answering basic addition questions with the skill of a math wizard surrounded by arithmetically challenged individuals. Welcome to a world where shapes are a mystery, and basic math skills are considered an endangered species. Upon realizing that everyone around him is as sharp as a butter knife, Joe decides to take a leisurely stroll out of jail. The not-so-bright guard falls for Joe's ruse, and our hero escapes, triggering alarms and a dramatic police chase. Somehow Joe manages to give them the slip and heads straight to Frito's place. Convinced that a time machine has sprouted up in the past 5 centuries, Joe sweet-talks Frito into spilling the beans by promising him a cool $8 billion. Frito, always the mastermind, reveals he knows the time machine's location. But of course, the police, ever the party poopers, show up at Frito's door. A mad dash ensues, and they drive to the museum, picking up Rita, who's still blissfully scamming the same guy. Little does she know that her imaginary boyfriend Upgrade is probably busy haunting someone in the afterlife. The police catch wind of Joe's whereabouts when something scans his wrist from outside the car. The battery dies, a firefight breaks out, and Joe, Frito, and Rita make a run for it, hoping to reach the elusive time machine. Next stop, Costco, the new hub of all wisdom and knowledge according to Frito. He claims to have studied law there because, you know, why go to Harvard when you can learn about the legal system between the bulk toilet paper and giant-sized ketchup bottles? As they wait for the metro, Rita, ever the opportunist, goes to the bathroom. Just when things seem relatively calm, Joe's wrist gets accidentally scanned, and the entire place goes on high alert. Frito boards the metro, leaving Joe waiting for Rita, only to be caught by the ever-vigilant police. Ah, the sweet taste of progress in the future. The glamorous life of Joe, the accidental genius, takes a twist as he finds himself not in the slammer, but at the White House. Because of course, when you have the highest IQ ever seen, brace yourself, Einstein. The logical next step is to become Secretary of Interior. The president, the very talkative Camacho, greets Joe by saying his head is big. It shows that in 2505, smart talk is the main thing in politics. Joe, the surprise sensation, is declared the smartest man in the world. Move over, Nobel laureates, we have a new genius in town. The president, in a moment of sheer brilliance, decides that Joe, now known as Mr. Nutsure, will tackle the world's most pressing issues, food scarcity and dust storms. Because clearly, Joe's genius extends to meteorology and agriculture. The grand announcement happens at the House of Representatives, where the president promises to pardon Joe's prison time if he works his intellectual magic and solves their problems. A cabinet meeting follows, where the secretaries eagerly await Joe's profound insights. Our genius protagonist, not one to disappoint, throws around some random complicated words that leave them nodding in awe. Never mind the fact that they probably don't understand a word he's saying. In a brilliant strategic move, Joe enlists Frito to draw a map of the time machine's location, while keeping the secretaries distracted. They all head to a field where crops should be growing, and Joe, in a stroke of genius, suggests bringing Rita to help with the agriculture crisis. Little does he know that Frito's map is about as useful as a screen door on a submarine. It's just a line on a piece of paper. The real shocker hits when Joe discovers that the crops are being watered with the energy drink Brawndo. He holds a cabinet meeting to propose the radical idea of using water instead. Naturally, the secretaries are appalled, but our fearless Joe claims he can talk to plants and they're thirsty. Little does he know that he's unintentionally solving the problem caused by Brawndo, turning him into an accidental hero. For a brief moment, everything goes swimmingly, but alas, the stock of Brawndo plummets and half the population is out of work. Cue the rioting outside the White House, and Joe is suddenly taken to court for the heinous crime of making people unemployed. Shockingly, he's proven guilty and sentenced to a night of rehabilitation. In this brave new world, rehabilitation is an adrenaline-pumping event where criminals are chased by massive trucks in an arena, while the audience cheers for vehicular mayhem. As Joe speeds around the arena in a tiny car, pursued by a colossal killing truck, the nation tunes in for the thrilling spectacle. Because nothing says justice like a high-speed chase where the odds are slightly stacked against you. Bravo, 2505, for reinventing the justice system with such flair and finesse. Just when you think Joe is about to die in this stupid world, Rita spots a rose plant sprouting outside. Because of course, Joe's groundbreaking idea to water the plants has worked wonders, and Rita is now on a mission to turn this botanical success into a televised spectacle. As Joe desperately evades the impending doom of the death truck, Rita hatches her plan to save him from this high-speed spectacle of justice. She sweet-talks Frito into taking her to the arena, promising to make him the star of the show. With the cunning bribery of a cameraman, Rita ensures that Frito captures the awe-inspiring sight of growing crops. She then waltzes into the control room, seizing the reins of the broadcast. The clip of the crops miraculously thriving is projected onto the large screen, and lo and behold, President Camacho, the beacon of wisdom, decides to spare Joe from becoming roadkill. The crowd erupts in cheers. Now, fast forward to the aftermath, a wild frat party at the White House. Rita drops the bombshell that she's not too keen on returning to her time because, let's face it, the future is just so much better. Joe, the gentleman that he is, doesn't force her to come with him. They bid their emotional farewells. But just when you think Joe's bizarre journey couldn't get any stranger, the president calls him on stage and crowns him the new vice president. Amid hopeful gazes from the crowd, Joe reluctantly agrees to stay in the intellectually dazzling world of 2505. But wait, there's a twist. Frito, the grand reveal master, takes Joe to the so-called time machine, and drumroll please, it's a children's ride. Because clearly, the pinnacle of time travel technology involves a kiddie carousel. Fast forward a few months, and Joe is not only elected as the President of the United States, but Rita has upgraded from a random woman he met in a hibernation pod to his wife and the First Lady. Under Joe's extraordinary leadership, a new era dawns, and people are hopeful that maybe, just maybe, humans can rediscover the lost art of being smart. Oh, and they have 3 kids who are conveniently labeled as the smartest in the world. Because, in the world of Idiocracy, anything is possible.